I close my eyes and I ponder upon Lane Kiffin as I often do late at night. All right, all right, all right, all right. Have good sporting, episode 59. It's rivalry week. It's the last week of the college football regular season. For some, it's the last chance we get to see our team this year. For some, it's the last time you get to see your current head coach this year, for your team at least. And for some, it'll mark the end of college football playoff hopes. Breaking down 5 games today, 3 of which on Black Friday. Black Friday beginning to be a bigger day than the last Saturday of the year for college football. And I like it. I like it. I like the Black Friday games the same way I like a lot of the NFL games on Thursday. I think it's great. I think it's great. I personally would hate to play a football game on Thanksgiving, but boy, do you love to watch it. All right, first game, we're going to go in chronological order here. The game under the biggest microscope of the whole weekend. Ole Miss travels to Starkville. They travel to Starkville to play the Egg Bowl. Mississippi State 5-6 fighting for bowl eligibility for the first time in the Jeff Lebby tenure. And then Ole Miss, Lane Kiffin in potentially his last game as the head coach of the Ole Miss Rebels, unless he stays, unless they let him coach through a potential playoff run. But I'll tell you what, if Ole Miss goes down in a 10-2 Ole Miss that just lost their head coach, that might be grounds for them to miss the playoffs. They wouldn't deserve it. They wouldn't deserve it, and I'd be very upset if I was an Ole Miss fan. But that just might be, they might get hosed like the FSU team that got hosed when Jordan Travis got injured. It might be that way. And I said this game is going to be under a huge microscope. People are going to be looking to see how fired up Lane Kiffin gets. If the players have, if they're distracted, if they're putting in enough effort, if it looks like a team that plans on playing into January. We don't know, but I'll tell you what, you know what this Lane, when I think of Lane Kiffin, I close my eyes and I ponder upon Lane Kiffin as I often do late at night, and I think visor, and I think offensive genius. I think quarterback whisper. Who else? Who else does that? Visor, quarterback. Lincoln Riley. What happened 4 years ago? Lincoln Riley, a visor wearing offensive genius that had his team at 10-1. Or actually, I think he had his team at 11-0, Lincoln Riley. Rumors of a contract offer to become LSU's next head coach surface for what? Like it was like 8 years and $96 million back in 2021 was going to be one of the biggest contracts in college football history. LSU thinks they have Lincoln Riley locked up as their coach long term, but then Lincoln Riley goes to coach his last game, loses to Oklahoma State. The day later, he leaves for USC. So all the LSU stuff was a smokescreen of sorts, potentially orchestrated by Jimmy Sexton to get USC to offer more money because that's where ultimately where Lincoln Riley wanted to go and ended up going. So now I think this year, offensive minded visor wearing coach looking to going into the last week as a playoff team, but then loses his last game. The day later, it's announced that he's gonna not go to LSU where all the rumors were leading him to, but he actually goes to Florida. Wow. Are we seeing a Lincoln Riley 2.0 situation? Because of the eerie similarities. Give me Mississippi State in Starkville to end the Ole Miss Rebels season and end Lincoln Riley, or not Lincoln Riley, end Lane Kiffin's tenure as Ole Miss head coach. It's going to be a good one. The over-under is 62 and a half. Points are going to be scored, and coaches are going to leave. Lane Kiffin to Florida. Book it. Book it. Quote me on it. All right. All right, that was a good one. That's the noon. That's noon. That's noon on Black Friday. 3:30 flying over to Atlanta, Georgia, taking on Georgia Tech in a game that was much more interesting on Saturday than it's going to be this upcoming Saturday when the game is played. Georgia Tech gets steamrolled by Pitt, effectively ending their college football playoff hopes, especially when you got to go end your season against Georgia. The game's in Atlanta. It's not at Bobby Dodd. It's at Mercedes-Benz, which is gonna be red and black. It's gonna the seats, first of all, are red and black. Then all the butts that are in the seats are gonna be in red and black. It's a de facto Georgia home game, even though it's in Atlanta. Georgia Tech, there's gonna be a little bit of gold there. There's gonna be a little bit of gold, but Georgia Tech seemingly has Haynes King has run through so many defenders, and this team has really put in so much effort this year, but it seems to just be winding down. Not, it seems to be taking its toll on this team, especially when this last game is going to be probably the most physical team you play, and they plan on breaking your will. They will win this game 20 to 13 if they have to. They will take it into 10 overtimes if they have to. It's a game. Georgia Tech is favored by 13 and a half points. It's a game I imagine Georgia Tech not running away with it immediately, maybe only being up 7 at half, but the result kind of feels like it's in hand. It just feels like Georgia Tech or Georgia's going to turn on the gas late, step on the gas late, and things might get dark for Georgia Tech. Applauds to Georgia Tech for a good season. Haynes King, not this super publicized star quarterback, but just put his body on the line week in and week out. Really a bad loss. A team that could be 11 and 0 going into this week. And 11 and 1, 10 and 2 would have got you in there. If you can show up to this game at 10 and 1, you're probably good. Maybe not. Maybe not 10 and 2 Georgia Tech making the playoff. But I applaud Georgia Tech in their season. It's nice to see Atlanta have a bit of a revival. See the Yellow Jackets kind of come out of the woodworks instead of this whole state being all Bulldogs. It's nice to see Georgia Tech have some supporters, but I think Georgia Tech wins this game handily. I'm not, you know, I think Georgia Tech can give them a scare, but I don't think it's a game. I don't. It's not going to be last year's game. I think Georgia Tech. I'll go as far as to say Georgia Tech covers the spread in this game. Covers the 13 and a half. Georgia wins. And Georgia, I believe, is technically the road team despite the neutral site. Ole Miss, the road team as well. But I think Ole Miss loses. All the teams that are on the road are favorites. They're favorites. Texas A&M too. This 7:30 game on Black Friday, our third game we're going to break down here. Texas A&M going to DKR. Texas A&M 2.5 point favorites. This is the week of home field advantage. You're a home underdog. Find a way to win. Let's create some chaos, right? Texas A&M with the most ridiculous game against South Carolina. I mean, they're down 30 to 3. And even at 30 to 3, you were like, they're gonna do something. They're gonna do something, aren't they? Then they rattle off 28 straight, and the hay was in the barn. For being down 28, the hay was in the barn pretty early. Kind of a ridiculous game. Um, but this is Texas. This is a different beast. I'm gonna be honest. I bought a lot of Arch Manning stock. I sold it at a loss, but I hung on to a little bit. And The stock is on the rise. I think Arch Manning is scary. Now, granted, Texas is 8-3. This is a huge win. They're ranked 16th. I think there kind of needs to be some chaos in other conferences, and Texas has to win this game to even have a shot to make it at 9-3. I think they're on the outside looking in, even with a victory. But I would tell you, a 12 seed Texas or something is a very scary team to have to go play. Um, I guess who gets them? The 5 seed? Is it just normal high seed versus low seed in the first round? It's a scary out for a 5 seed that, could potentially be, let's see, like a Texas Tech. Texas Tech versus Texas. I might have to root for that game. That would be good. But that's a tough game. It's such a tough game for Texas Tech if it gets there. But that's not the focus yet. You got to take down the undefeated Aggies. 11-0 A&M going to DKR. Marcel Reed is a hooper. Casey Concepcion, one of the best in the nation. Cassius Howard. They got dudes everywhere. They got dudes everywhere. It's a really good roster. But Texas is still, you have to be scared. You always have to be scared against an underperforming team that still matches up with you talent-wise. Like if A&M had Vandy in this last game and it was an 8-3 Vandy or whatever, then you're like not as scared. But Texas matches it's the talent is on par. Both these teams are on par with each other, and Texas A&M doesn't have to win technically. Um, I mean 11-1, Texas A&M gets in. But what if A&M goes like 11-2, loses the SEC championship too? Did we think about that? Have we thought about that? Give me the underdogs here. Give me the home team. Give me the home dog to win again. This is the biggest week for home field advantage of all year. Of all year. I don't even know if that makes sense. But Mississippi State is going to take down Ole Miss. Texas going to beat A&M. Georgia going to beat Georgia Tech. Technically, they're the road team, but that doesn't count. I mean, we know that doesn't count. All right, and then we're all going to fall asleep full of our leftovers from Thursday, and then we wake up, drink a coffee, and then the game, big noon kickoff at noon, the game, Ohio State in Michigan. All right, a quick intermission there. Shedded the jacket. It's hot upstairs. You know what else is going to be hot? This noon game, Saturday, big noon kickoff, the game, Ohio State, Michigan. Ohio State 9.5 point favorites in Ann Arbor against a 9-2 Michigan team. A sneaky good year out of Michigan. I didn't expect much from them. I thought if you can go into this game 9-2, however, you got a puncher's chance at a playoff spot against the best team in the land. A team that also can afford to lose. Well, you got to take that into account with the 12-team playoff. They don't have to win. Like 11-0 versus 11-0 Michigan in the past, that's a battle for a playoff spot. Not anymore. It's a battle for a playoff spot for Michigan. Ohio State has it locked up. This game is in Ann Arbor. Bryce Underwood, can he somehow take down Ohio State? And you think about Bryce, like you watch him play, he throws some seeds. He makes some NFL throws, but he also like is is 16 for 29 for 183 yards, one touchdown, one pick gonna do it. Because that's the stat line you're getting out of him. You know that's what you're getting out of Bryce, and you know you're gonna get a relatively clean game and points will be scored. Ohio State's gonna score points. If you're Michigan, you got to get out to an early lead. You have to get in their head, and you got to win this game, 16-13. I don't think you're going to do it. I think Ohio State wins this game 23-10. That kind of gives me leeway to where it like if it's a close game and they pull away at the end like it was 16-10 and we're like we got a game in Ann Arbor versus it also being 23-3 no sweat win out of Ohio State, which is also possible, and then Michigan late touchdown. So I cover a lot of ground with that 23-10 final score. Michigan man Eddie Newbert's going to be very upset with that prediction. Ohio State covers, but the under hits. Book it. The under hits, and then you kind of go into a day of college football that is not as oh my God, we're missing Alabama Auburn. Okay. Ohio State Michigan in the Iron Bowl are the big games here. But from noon, you got Ohio State Michigan, and then you kind of wait and everyone's all eyes on the Iron Bowl, right? But that's it. So that's why I think Friday is a better day than Saturday this week. It's just kind of a shallow day for college football on Saturday. However, at least for the SEC, and I'm an SEC guy, unfortunately. All right, the Iron Bowl, 7:30, Alabama. Alabama fans don't even want to hear these words be spoken. Alabama with a playoff spot on the line travels to a 5-6 bowl berth seeking nothing to lose Auburn team in Jordan Hare Stadium at night. This is a recipe for disaster. Not only just the dynamics of the game. Auburn last week starts now they were playing Poop U. They were playing Poop U University, but Auburn trots out a true freshman quarterback that breaks every freshman quarterback school record or just school record period or freshman quarterback record period. Deuce Knight, like 456 total yards, six touch. I mean, the guy goes off. Now you got a game plan for a guy that you have one game of film on, and it's like it's they're gonna come out punching. You don't know where the punches are coming from, and they have nothing to lose. So it's gonna be chaos. I think it's gonna be chaos. If you're Alabama, you have to quiet this crowd down. Ty Simpson has to slice and dice like he's been slicing and dicing all year. Your wide receivers just have to be better. They're gonna have to catch a one-on-one ball. The run game has to get going. I could see this Alabama offense kind of being in a stalemate and not being able to move the ball, especially in that stadium where in the Auburn defense where that was been the strength all year. But, you know, when you have an offense like Auburn, of course your defense is going to be the strength. But maybe Auburn a new lease on life with Deuce Knight at quarterback. I was on the show at my internship talking about quarterback Deuce Smith for Buford. Yeah, for no, for Grayson rather. For Grayson High School, called him Deuce Knight on the show, but his name's Deuce Smith. So my mind's been pontificating about Deuce Knight for a while now, whether it needs to or not. Alabama needs to be terrified. You gotta be so scared, but you can't play scared. You gotta go dominate. Alabama, if this was week 4 in Tuscaloosa, Alabama wins 35-10. In Jordan, in Jordan Hare, give me Alabama to win 34-30. No, God, no, that's terrible. Auburn's not scoring 30. Give me Alabama 20-16, and it might be a game-winning touchdown out of Alabama. Who knows, man? That's going to be chaos, and I'm going to enjoy it. All right. Last weekend of college football, we broke down some games for you guys for the foreseeable future. This is going to be a Lane Kiffin channel. If he goes to Florida, it's going to be a celebration, a have a good sporting celebration. If he goes to LSU or stays at Ole Miss, gonna be a very sad episode of Have Good Sporting. Keep your eyes on that. Next week, if more we know, the more I figure out, I'll be getting on here. Maybe even a day or two after this drops, I do a video on each school why I think Lane Kiffin would go to that school, why he might stay, why he might go to LSU, why he might go to Florida. But you guys know where my guess is. Lanesville, the Lane train, all aboard to Gainesville, Florida. All right. Thank you guys for watching. If you really don't know me and you stumbled upon me, interact with me. Interact with me. Like it, subscribe it. Appreciate you if you do that. Um, Supporting a small business, it's the right thing to do. And if you don't do it, it's the wrong thing to do. Who do you want to be today? All right. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate you. Haven't posted in a while. So I apologize. Thank you for watching. Love you. Bye.